So now we got one of the highlights of the day for us here. Not that I wasn't, but we got our keynote speaker, Mark Russinovich. This is such an honor for us to have Mark here. Mark is the Chief Technology Officer for Microsoft Azure. In case you didn't know, that's Microsoft's cloud platform. He is widely recognized as an expert in distributed systems and operating systems. He's also the author of 3 best-selling books, one of which I think is sitting on your chair there, Zero Day, Trojan Horse, and Rogue Code. And he's written just more books than you can count on Windows internals, system administrator reference guides. He is a speaker at every major Microsoft conference, including Tech Ed and Build. We are really lucky to have him here today. So welcome, Mark Russinovich.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Hey, listen, I know you've got a lot of content to share. I just wanted to ask really quickly, Microsoft and Veeam have been partners for a long time. What makes an effective partnership in your view?
Well, I think it's the collaborative nature of the partnership that we've got together, the fact that we've worked together, for example, on some of the demos, the products that you just demoed, including the integration for blob storage, which we're incredibly excited about. The partnership goes back several years, like you said, and one of the striking things to us about the partnership with us is getting you guys into the marketplace on Azure,
Yep.
and where you're one of the top sellers in our marketplace, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's great to see, as someone who spent a lot of time in Microsoft and in Azure, it's great to see where that platform is going. Fantastic advancements in IoT, analytics, predictive analytics, microservices, and hybrid is obviously the key differentiator for Microsoft. I know you're probably going to talk about this, but how should this audience think about hybrid and availability?
Yeah, well, so one of the things that we pride ourselves at Microsoft is that hybrid is more than just a catchphrase or a buzzword. It's really something that we build into the product truth. We know that most of the enterprises out there are going to be hybrid for the foreseeable future, and it's important that we enable them on the cloud transition by supporting that hybrid state that they're going to be in. So we bake it into all of our products. So examples like SQL Server. Innovation like the stretch database that we released in SQL Server 2016, which allows you to create a database that spans up into the cloud transparently, to things like our focus on Operations Management Suite, which lets you manage hybrid deployments, manage VMs, whether they're in the public cloud or on-premises, and then Azure Stack, which is one of our key differentiators, which allows you to take Azure and deploy it into your own data centers, ability to create applications that are portable and across those 2 platforms, public cloud and Azure Stack on premises, because of the consistent API surface, as well as the ability to take advantage of Azure Marketplace offerings from the public cloud into an Azure Stack deployment on premises.
Awesome. Well, Mark, here you go. The stage is yours. Thanks very much.
Paul.
Appreciate it.
So good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Let's try that again. There we go. So I'm going to just spend a few minutes here to talk a little bit about where I think everybody needs to see the industry going, which is not just lift and shifting applications, but the role of IT is moving towards enabling businesses to transform themselves. So I'll spend a few minutes talking about what Microsoft considers digital transformation. Then I'll get into some of the capabilities that you need to look for and that we think we provide in the Microsoft Cloud that enable digital transformation, and then come back to a case study that will really highlight exactly what an example of digital transformation that we see out there among our customers looks like. So first, digital transformation, that also sounds like a marketing buzz phrase. It's something that you hear everybody talking about. Businesses need to go digitally transform. Well, what does it really mean? When we take a look at how a company can digitally transform, we've identified 4 different categories. You can see them up here on the slide. The first is engaging customers, and this means a new way of interacting with your customers that's not just shipping them product, letting them consume it, and then getting support calls from them, but it's actually creating personalized experiences for them, really understanding who they are, what they want, and then being able to serve them in a very unique way. To support that, you need to be able to digitally transform your products, and what that means is being able to create products that support the agility and scale and customization that engaging customers requires. The ability to deploy very quickly, to have a DevOps lifecycle where you can update with reliability, where you can take advantage of new technologies as they come out, like machine learning with cognitive APIs. Empowering employees is another category, which is more inward-facing, but it is really kind of streamlining your organization. Ability for developers and your workers to go and operate remotely and collaborate effectively, not having to send emails to each other, but being able to chat with each other, being able to share documents really easily with each other, being able to edit and collaborate on documents easily with each other. And then finally, optimizing operations, which is looking at the infrastructure of your organization. How do you get rid of all the manual process and again, the spreadsheets that are manually edited to keep track of things, and you optimize that away by having streamlined services that let you automate everything and get rid of all the friction and overhead that a lot of your company might be spent on. Now, like I said, one of the key requirements for digital transformation is a public cloud, and I think this is one of the things that really drives home the value of public cloud, is the fact that digital transformation services and offerings are really best delivered with a hyperscale public cloud that is making those offerings available and where you can take advantage of agility. Microsoft Cloud is one of those clouds, and Microsoft Cloud, like Paul mentioned, has been doing fantastically well. And I've got some statistics here to show you the kind of scale that we've gotten to. If you haven't been paying attention to how Azure's been growing, some of the numbers on here are pretty staggering. I'm not going to spend time talking about all of them. I'll just highlight a few. The one in the top right is really interesting to me. 5 trillion Event Hub events ingested per week by our Event Hub's ingestion service. That service is used for, it's a pub sub service. It basically allows one service to send events to another one. It's commonly used in IoT scenarios as well, where devices can pump data up into the cloud. And that is a big number by itself, that we've got a service that scales out to supporting 5 trillion events per week. But what makes this really interesting to me is that if this service went to general availability about 1.5 years ago, and we started talking about the scale of this service in January of 2016, and when we first started showing this in a slide like you see, the number that I had up there was 2 trillion per month. So we've gone in just a little over 14, 15 months from 2 trillion per month to 5 trillion per week, and that shows you kind of exponential growth that we're seeing in the public cloud. The other number that I want to highlight is the bottom middle one. So 1 out of every 3 of our virtual machines deployed in Azure today are Linux virtual machines, which is, we're really proud of that number. In fact, we're even more proud about the fact that close to 60% of the virtual machines being deployed right this minute in Azure are Linux virtual machines. And you're probably shocked that I'm standing up here excited about a number like that, right? It is a little shocking to me because I'm basically saying I'm excited that 60% of the Azure customer VMs can't take advantage of sysinternals tools for now. Now, that last number that I want to highlight up here is that 85% of the GSIFIs have Azure. So what's a GSIFI? A GSIFI is a globally systemically important financial institution. These are the financial institutions like banks that are too big to fail. There's about 25 of them on the planet. And this is a sector that is known as being extremely risk averse. The fact is, though, they're moving quickly now to the public cloud. 85% of them have signed terms to use Azure and start shifting workloads to the cloud, and including in some cases core banking workloads up into the public cloud. So this, like Paul said, the cloud is here and now, and it's even affecting and driving sectors like financials. Now, when you go take a look at what a cloud needs to support for digital transformation, it spans not just infrastructure as a service and basic platform as a service, but higher level services, like I mentioned. And this is where it's not just Azure, but a Microsoft cloud that we represent. If you take a look at some of the capabilities needed for digital transformation, they include productivity. So this goes back to how do we collaborate among our employees and communicate with customers. And this is where Office 365 is an example of an offering in the Microsoft cloud. Our business application platform, this is what would run the back end of business processes. And again, here we've got Dynamics 365 on the Microsoft cloud. When it comes to being able to deliver applications that are innovative applications that take advantage of agile DevOps lifecycle and the latest technologies that I'll come to talk about a little bit later, we've got platforms in Visual Studio Team Services Online that let you do agile DevOps workflows. We've got an application platform on Azure that lets you create applications very quickly with minimum overhead required for operating them. And then data and intelligence, of course, is a key part now of everything. Being able to collect data at scale, being able to analyze it, get insights out of it, and being able to drive processes back with actions taken out of those insights. And here again, we've got a huge focus. We've got key services like Azure Data Lake Analytics and Azure Data Lake Store, the cognitive APIs, the Cortana, as well as our bot framework as well to allow collaboration or communication with customers. And then finally, you need security and management, of course. And here's where Operations Management Suite comes into play. This is where Azure Security Center, the ability to create a cloud infrastructure or cloud applications that are secure from the start and that you keep secure as they operate. So I've been talking about the Microsoft Cloud, and the Microsoft Cloud is built on top of Azure, and it includes these higher level services. Some of the core capabilities, some of the core attributes of the Microsoft Cloud include the fact that it's global, trusted, and hybrid. And we talked a little bit about hybrid. I talked a little bit about hybrid with Paul. Hybrid includes things like Operations Management Suite, includes Azure Stack, the ability to deliver Azure out into your own data centers. That is unique to the Microsoft Cloud. The Microsoft Cloud is also differentiated when it comes to trust. Microsoft's got a long history with cybersecurity. Focus on that. We've taken that into the cloud and the way that we operate the cloud. And then we take advantage of that core capability to earn compliance certifications. And Microsoft Cloud has the broadest set of certifications. We've got over 55 of them now, including all the core ones that you're familiar with: FedRAMP, ISO, HIPAA, PCI. And we've got the broadest service coverage for the core set of certifications of any public cloud as well. And then finally, we're a global cloud. We've got, up until yesterday, we had 38 regions that we'd announced around the world with 34 operational. This morning, we announced 2 new regions in South Africa, so we're the first public cloud to go into Africa, bringing our total number of regions up to 40. And this is, of course, reaching the global workforce, the global marketplace, global businesses, and being able to take Azure to where they need to be able to operate. So let's get back to digital transformation. Like I said, engaging customers, transforming products, empowering employees, optimizing operations. I want to give you just one case study just to highlight some of the digital transformation that we see happening. And this is really kind of representative, I think, lesson to take back with you about where things are going and what businesses are looking for. Because what I see now, when CEOs come in and CIOs come to talk to us about what they want out of public cloud, they tell us the first thing is, don't sell us on infrastructure as a service. They might have infrastructure as a service on premises, they might have private cloud. What they're looking for is how to take their business to the next level. So tell us about that. What can you do for us on that? And this example that I've got right here, integrated power services, is just a fantastic example of going from kind of the old way of doing things and quickly transforming a business by taking advantage of higher level cloud services. Integrated Power Services is the largest US electric motor and generator repair company. They've got 20 repair sites, they've got 1,000 employees, and they repair the kind of big electric motors that you've probably seen in lots of power plants and other places. So these electric motors, when they break down, the first step that happens is a customer calls up and opens a support ticket and provides some information about what the repair requires or the symptoms of the repair. They send it to the closest IPS repair location. IPS performs analysis of the device and figures out an estimate for what the repair would look like. And then they send that back to the customer. The customer then might approve their repair, and at that point, the repair process begins and might require disassembling the motor and sending parts out to sub-repair sites, tracking the progress of all those sub-repairs, then bringing everything back together, putting the part back together, and then shipping it back to the customer. This is a very complex process. In the course of the repair and diagnostic procedures, there's about 1,000 fields of information that are collected about the motor or generator. There's about, on average, 400 pictures they have to take of it. And they make these pictures available to the technicians as well as the customer. Up until last year, this process was almost entirely hand done. They had an ERP system on the back end that kept track of labor and the parts that they needed for the repairs, but everything else was done basically with sticky notes and emails. In fact, we saw a picture of one of the repair shops, and there's easels next to the repair floor with columns of sticky notes identifying where each part was in the repair process, and then they would move the sticky notes along the way. Customers basically had no insight into what was going on with the motor repair process. At the end of the repair process, a report had to be generated off of exactly what was repaired and how the state of the parts that came in and went out, and all of that was even manually generated. So they sat down they started talking to us and some of our partners and said, we want to digitally transform this. We're so inefficient, we see huge opportunities here to transform ourselves. And what they came up with, within 6 months, they went from that process I just described to one where they walk around now with tablets on the repair shop floor. The tablets are used to take pictures using a Power App API application that you see screenshots of right there. This is Microsoft Power Apps, which is a higher level application platform that allows business developers to create applications very quickly, similar kind of interface to creating a PowerPoint, but with integration into back-end services. So the pictures being taken, the fields being entered, all go up into SharePoint Online, they go into Excel Online, and the pictures go into OneDrive. All of this is on the back end. They created not just one Power App, but 14 separate apps. And now the whole process is completely automated and digital. So customers have their own app and now can track the progress of the repair. They see the pictures using the app of the repair in progress, and the report is generated at the end automatically after the repair is completed. Again, 6 months, 14 apps, now going from completely manual paper process to a fully digital process on top of Microsoft Cloud applications. This is the way business is going. And it's striking. It's because of the power of the cloud, the agility, the instant on-demand, and the higher-level services that you can transform something like that, the core of the business, in just 6 months. And they estimate that they're already saving 15% now on overhead just by taking advantage of these kinds of technologies. So that's, I thought, was a great example to share with you of what digital transformation really means. One thing I do want to highlight is digital transformation is something that businesses are going to take time to do, and there's going to be certain parts of your business you'll digitally transform. There'll be other parts of your business that need to continue to operate the way they are. You might want to move things up into the cloud, again, remain in a hybrid state. And Microsoft is committed to being a great partner for that digital journey that you're making, that cloud journey you're making. We've even gone so far as to change our licensing scheme on our core products to help you go at the speed you want to and to save money while you do it. And I've got a couple examples right here. Azure Hybrid Use Benefit. This allows you to go into Azure and use your Windows Server licenses on Azure VMs and save up to 40% on those VM costs that you would have to pay otherwise if this offer wasn't available for you to be able to take your licenses up. And the other one is SQL Server License Mobility, which is the same thing. Lets you use SQL Server licenses on-prem or in the cloud, so you're not paying extra if you've already got a SQL license. You want to keep it on-prem, that's great. You're ready to move it to the cloud, you move the license with you. Now, the last thing I want to share with you, again, to emphasize how the shape of IT is changing because of this cloud disruption, will give you a hint at what you need to be focused on in your job to be ready for the future. Of course, we came from a client-server world where everything was on-premises, then infrastructure as a service hit us, and this was basically just lifting, shifting, creating applications on top of VMs in the cloud. Platform as a service started to evolve, and now we've got a huge number of building blocks of platform as a service offerings that remove the necessity to manage infrastructure. So, for example, Azure SQL Database now removes the requirement of you managing the SQL servers underneath. That's all done in the back end. You get automatic scaling, you get automatic geo-replication, the patching all happens completely transparently to whoever's using the service. That is what enables this agility that comes with the public cloud. Now, where things are going, though, on the application platform is yet also going to look very PaaS-ish and very developer focused. This new wave of application platform we call serverless. Now, what is serverless? Serverless is exemplified with an offering that we've got called Azure Functions. With Azure Functions, a developer can take a little snippet of code and deploy it up into Azure, and that piece of code then executes anytime an event the developer specifies triggers. For example, a canonical example is a function that might change images or resize images. The developer can say, whenever a new image gets dropped into my blob storage account, execute this function that resizes the image and then drop the resized image into this other storage account. But you can imagine kind of any kind of transformation, any kind of operation, logic operation, taking some inputs, performing some operation, and then spitting out some outputs, including things like looking at Twitter feeds and calling cognitive services to do sentiment analysis. Another example of Azure Functions. Now, what makes Azure Functions so powerful is that the developer never has to create a virtual machine. They simply deploy their piece of code to the cloud. They never have to specify scaling. The cloud automatically takes care of scaling. They only get charged for the consumption of resources the functions use when they run. And then they also specify triggers that cause those functions to run. So a developer within a few minutes can say, this function should do this image resize transformation, and have that up and running in Azure and have it scale to being able to resize thousands of images per second. There's no infrastructure involved there at all. And so what's the role of IT in a world that looks like that? Does IT go away? Of course not. IT's job changes from managing the servers to managing the application environment and the platform, the cloud delivery platform for developers that are doing this, developing these kinds of applications. Governance, cost control, and security are the things that are important for a cloud application, and it requires IT to be able to go set up the platform that enables developers to go focus on their application, but you remain compliant with corporate policy, keep costs under control and understand where the costs are going, and of course, remain secure. And so this is where IT needs to go and where the puck is going for IT. Of course, the journey, like I said, is going to be at different paces for different organizations, and so that doesn't mean the old way of managing virtual machines goes away, your on-premises infrastructure doesn't go away, but this is what you need to get ready for to enable your businesses to move forward into the future. And so I want to just leave you on that final note. The public cloud offers huge opportunity for businesses to reinvent themselves by taking advantage of these technologies that weren't even possible 5 years ago. And it's the role of IT to partner with businesses and support them as they do this. Otherwise, the business is not going to be able to be successful without IT there to help them. And so I want to encourage all of you to embrace this future because it's an exciting one, and you can be part of it by being here right on the ground at the start of it. So I want to thank you very much. I hope you have a great Veeam conference, VeeamON conference, and I hope to see you at the book signing in a little bit. Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Great information. It's an exciting future. Look forward to continuing the partnership moving on.
Thanks, Paul.
One more time, Mark Russinovich, everybody.